It seems the effects of Unicorn Overlord's magnificent existence are already being felt in the gaming world, as it should be, and we're seeing it here in the latest revealed footage for the upcoming Suikoden Star Leap. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel.
Suikoden Star Leap.
Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, including coverage of upcoming JRPGs, turn-based strategy RPGs, and the like, such as Suikoden Star Leap, then a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. So what is it that we're talking about with Star Leap today? Well, there was a newly released battle trailer just a couple of days ago that gives an overview of how combat is going to work in this latest entry in the Suikoden series. Now, I know that I haven't specifically covered Star Leap previously, so as a very brief overview of what it is, for those of you who maybe are not aware, hadn't heard of it, hadn't really seen the news about it, Star Leap is an interesting sort of blend that is part standard single-player RPG campaign, as you would expect from the series, and part gacha game, similarly to Sword of Convallaria, if you're familiar with that. It's going to be releasing on mobile and on Steam, again, like Sword of Convallaria, and it is a prequel that takes place a couple of years prior to the events of Suikoden 1 that kicked off that major aspect of the franchise. From the preview materials we've seen thus far, multiple familiar faces of characters from 1 appear in the game alongside the new cast. It will, from what we've been told, have a full standard RPG campaign with the expected base building and 108 Stars of Destiny to recruit, as you always have in this franchise, with the gacha side of things including summonable heroes from other entries in the series with various different permutations of them and the like. As far as I have seen, we're not sure exactly yet how that's going to mix with the campaign at this time. We know that you can use those gacha characters in the campaign, but how powerful they'll be, what mechanics are going to go into all of it, we don't know really any of that at this point. And I do want to point out as well that I have not been following every bit of news about this release, unlike other things like Final Fantasy Tactics, but I wanted to cover it for this trailer as it looks really cool, and there's definitely a major aspect of it that is inspired by Unicorn Overlord, as mentioned at the top of the video, and which we will talk about in a moment. So, with a quick overview of what Star Leap is out of the way, let's talk about this battle trailer that shows how combat's going to be working, as well as a lot of the major UI elements. From our very first look at a battle here, we can see that there are some standard aspects to pretty much all RPGs at this point. We've got an action cue that shows what turn order is going to be happening, presumably as different characters and enemies have different amounts of speed. This will change around. We can see that the standard Suikoden two-tiered party formation is still in with a front and a back row. Presumably you will still have short, medium, and long range characters that will dictate where in the party formation they can go and still be effective. There's 3 actions that have been specifically shown thus far which you can take. Your expected basic attack that, just does a basic attack that does some damage, as well as your runes, and then also a special ultimate attack. Now, throughout the franchise, runes are where you typically get big special physical attacks or unique abilities for specific characters or big magic attacks that are single target or AoE or healing or buffs or what have you. But from what we've seen here, I'm not entirely sure if you're actually going to be able to switch around what runes characters have. The biggest focus seems to be on these special ultimate abilities, and from first glance, they're definitely very gacha-bait. Very big, flashy animations that typically seem to hit the entire enemy party, etc., etc. Although we've only seen a couple of them in action, so I don't want to jump to too many conclusions there. Regardless, they are very cool, and as always, balance determines everything, so it could be that they are a very integral and fun aspect of the combat sandbox. What's worth noting is that these attacks do have cooldowns and exist on a timer, and when it's charged, it almost seems like you can swap between your active party members to use the best attack for the situation, rather than potentially each character having their own cooldown. It's also possible that you can choose whatever character special ability you want to use for all the characters that are off cooldown. If someone has already used theirs, they're not going to be in the rotation. Whatever the case may be, you can clearly see here from the trailer that the player is swapping around to find the best attack for the situation, which is certainly interesting and can definitely shake up the turn order based gameplay that you're otherwise going to be used to. Notably and potentially worryingly, there's no sign of the standard Unite attacks that are pretty much in every entry of the Suikoden franchise, this being where you have at least 2 different characters with something that unites them, whether it be some sort of story relationship or them sharing a combat style or a weapon type or whatever, and when used initiates a combo attack with those characters that is typically going to be much more powerful than any basic attack that they could do at the very least. In this trailer, we didn't see anything like that as a possibility to use. However, in one other recent trailer, the story trailer, we do see what seems to be a Unite attack happening with the Master and People attack. So I wouldn't jump to too many conclusions about this yet. We'll have to see as we get more info about the combat systems if that is a more standard feature or not. However, we did also see a new feature called chain attacks. Chain attacks apparently occur when 4 or more of your party are queued up in a row, like in the actual combat order, allowing them to attack together with bonuses. Now, how exactly this works and what all bonuses you can get is not yet clear, but it does remind me a bit of combining spells in the original games, so hopefully it has a sort of similar effect, and you have ways to manipulate the actual turn order to set up these chain attacks. That'd be nice. Moving on to other aspects of the combat window that we can see, enemies now have health bars, and specifically a break meter, which allows certain attacks to unbalance enemies in much the same way that your characters could be unbalanced by certain attacks or usage of runes or attacks from the enemy, which is very cool to see. We've also seen that weaknesses and resistances are displayed when attacks land, making it much easier to track what's best against what enemy. It's noteworthy as well that these weaknesses and resistances may be tied to static character traits, as we can see here in this character window that each party member currently in the party has 2 associated damage traits, one elemental and one physical. We can also see character rarity for gacha characters as well, presumably combat power on this screen. There's some nice details here. We don't know if you're going to be able to swap any of these different elemental and damage traits around. I'm assuming probably not, especially given the gacha nature of some of the characters. You're going to want to be able to pull for specific characters that have certain traits and the like, but still, if you can plan for it, not too bad. Something that I'm particularly interested in is the ability to attach support characters to the party who have their own skills that activate under certain conditions, such as in the trailer Tuta here, who applies healing to a party member when they get hit. It looks like pretty much any character can be selectable as support, though I'm sure there will be some that will be better in the role than others. And honestly, this is a great way to incorporate some of the Stars of Destiny into your party, as there's always been ones that you can technically recruit and use as party members, but who are just terrible and always have had an in-story more support role, again, like Tuta. So giving them a role in combat without necessarily taking up a slot is choice. I like that a lot. And of course, unsurprisingly, as a couple of other little notes for the combat window here, you do have battle speed up and autoplay. Pretty much all RPGs and JRPGs have systems like this at this point, and there's really no reason not to, so it's nice to see that they're usable here. There's 2 other sections that I want to hop on here as well. First, and very briefly, map exploration. We've seen very little of any sort of map exploration across all the preview materials thus far, but from everything that we've seen, it does look less like you have an open world JRPG map as you would expect from especially Suikoden 1 and 2, but more of an Octopath Traveler style map, where you'll explore each zone as its own distinct level, with extra little paths and secrets to find, like every map is a dungeon rather than having an open world that you go into dungeons or encounter random battles on. Speaking of random battles, we can see here that enemies do appear on the map, and you can get a bonus of damage by attacking them to initiate combat, so presumably we will not be seeing any random battles here. Now for our final section of the video, and the section that I am the most excited about, we have finally seen what army battles are going to look like in Starleap, and for those of you who are longtime viewers of the channel or enjoyers of quality strategy RPGs in general, it might look a little familiar. It would appear that Starleap is taking a couple pages out of Unicorn Overlord's book. If we look at this map here, you can see that this is basically just a battle map on Unicorn Overlord, baby. We have a base that we can deploy from. We have enemy squad indicators running in from the sides. We have real-time navigation with pause. We even have Valor abilities like Charge, customizable squads that play out with battle automatically once they meet with another enemy squad. I was so giddy when I saw this trailer and I saw this section, it is absolutely what told me I needed to make a video about this, because how cool is this, man? Like, yeah, I'm sure it's not going to be anywhere near as extensive as Unicorn Overlord systems. I don't think you're going to be designing a full spreadsheet if-then statement of different attacks and abilities for each different squad member. Maybe you will, I don't know, but I doubt it. But even so, it's just so cool to see our little baby boy of Unicorn Overlord already influencing the gaming world. I cannot wait to start messing with this system and see just how deep they go with it. And finally, of course, as you always get with trailers like this, we get some clips of character cutscenes, flashes of faces both new and old, a few more combat abilities in action, and footage of the team running through both Grigminster and Rockland, which look beautiful. It was definitely a really nice trailer overall, and one that made me a lot more excited for Starleap than I had been up to this point. I'll admit I am a little bit concerned about some of the changes to the battle system and how quote-unquote gotchified the game is going to be. That is such a tight cross rope to walk, especially if you're trying to have this balance of original style RPG and gotcha systems. And we're really only starting to see games get a good balance of that type of thing with games like Sword of Convalaria. I'm very excited to see this thing in motion. As mentioned, the war battles look sick. I'm excited to see what new story developments we get, how the events of this game lead into the events of Suikoden 1. I'm absolutely going to be keeping my eye on this one going forward. And if you all are as interested as I am, I'd be happy to continue covering it on the channel leading up to the release. So let me know. Are you looking forward to Starleap? Do you have any particular concerns, questions, things you want to see, things you don't want to see? Let me know all that in the comments and we can have a jolly chat about it. Also, of course, as mentioned, thank you to my channel supporters from both Patreon and my YouTube members. You guys are a huge part of what keeps the channel going, and I appreciate it endlessly. If you, dear viewer, would like to join the ranks of names scrolling by on the right side of your screen right now, consider joining via the links in the description. Thank you again, y'all. For now, my name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.